Hey guys, Fred Kynes, AKK. Say this series is kind of it's a bit of hodgepodge, but in reality, it's sequential. These are the order in which this entire series is in the order in which I'm producing these videos. And although what you're seeing precedes for a small amount of time, a couple months. Right now, we're looking at about six months, and the reason why I do that is I started recording a little bit later so that I could keep content going. You know, the goal was weekly, and you can see now that we're into what, video 61 or 62. You can see that there's a lot of time that goes into this type of a project. So, in an effort to keep information flowing out to you, it becomes important to try to stay in front of it. So that gap is narrowing, and it is my goal that this car um, finishes in some sort of a weekly kind of a deal. You also know, if you've been watching the series, that this is the first for me. So doing something like this, but I do enjoy it, and I love to see that the channel is growing, the subscribers are growing, and as you get more and more and more views, you get more and more and more comments, more and more learning going on, because there's dialogue back and forth. A guy recently sent me a comment on the exhaust system, and that was back in about episode 40, somewhere between 40 and 50, so a few weeks ago. But hey, you can't weld that whole mess together and not expect some expansion. Well, yeah, that made a lot of sense to me. So anyway, in that case, I ordered a couple of these. Didn't have them with me here, so I'm gonna get those in, and I've been thinking about that. Um, but that's how these builds go, and you'll see those get installed here in the future. But also that I want you to know that this little series is one that's kind of interesting, in the sense that a portion of this video does not make it into the car, does fail. But I wanted to show it because I think everybody that does this kind of a thing, realizes that not every idea that you do succeeds, and it needs to shift and change. As an example, right there, you'll see that being built in this video, and it didn't work out. Enjoy. Thanks.
Okay, I'm just thinking. Just thinking. See this? Oofta. All the way around. And then it's captured here, obviously because of this. And then there. God. Nutso. It does thin up right here. And right here it almost looks symmetrical. But what I'm going to do, I looked at a couple of YouTube videos, and guys are able to run epoxy into here, just syringe it, poke holes in it and run epoxy into there and into here. Fill it with epoxy and tighten that back up. Okay. Seems kind of strange, doesn't it? But then I can sand that and then I can custom make a cover that I can stitch into here. So that's my thinking right now. I don't know if there were actually finger marks around here. I'll have to go and look at another one. But I can sand those out of there or keep them in there. Whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking right now. Just generated an idea. And then I'd like to keep the cruise control set up and mount it up higher, and then make a custom cover that I capture, there's the center line, but I capture it but I get something a little more decorative. I keep the horn in there. I get this in there, right? And try to get everything a little bit more centered on the steering wheel. Okay, I know it's all as clear as mud right now, but then after I just determine where I'm going to cut off there, then I cut off on this guy. Okay, and then I use him. I use him as the start of a form, and you've seen this trick where they take T-shirts. I'm going to set this right there, where they take T-shirts and they pull it over to get a nice uniform shape, and then resin it with fiberglass resin. And I can pull a new shape out of it as long as I have a bottom and a top, and I can pull it tight. Then I can cover the whole thing with resin, and even put in, you know, those areas, everything. So that's what I'm thinking right now. Can I do it? Don't know. I mean, can I do it? Yes. Can I achieve the results that I want? Don't know yet. Don't know yet. But I'm getting kind of excited about thinking about it. We'll see what I can produce. All right. So what I've done now is I bought a baster, turkey baster, and then I went in many spots and filled it up. Now it's just rigid. And then I just went around with 80 grit sandpaper. If there's any high spots on the wheel, I knocked those off. The foam, of course, came through, and I knocked all that off, so I could get the shape of the steering wheel laid in. I used this and that in the syringe. I fill it up and I put a couple 1-2 drops of that in. Little stirring stick inside, you know, put it in here. Little stirring stick just went in there, and a little piece of wood or plastic or whatever that was stiff enough to stir it up. I did clean it out. I just cleaned it out with lacquer thinner. I'm assuming xylene or something like that would have worked a little bit better. I just didn't yank it out. I don't know if I'm going to save that. I'm not basting any turkeys with it. Pulled the horn buttons out, and then you can see then started trimming. And I trimmed with reason. I'm trying to establish a different look. Okay, something along that affair that'll go in there, and that's going to taper to that large circle in the back of this. So at this point, just for the sake of show, this slides into that rear cover, and you can see the material that's going to go away. You see that cut out in there? That's where I'm going to nest my cruise control. And then I'm following the center line of the steering wheel. I'm trying not to make any concave bends, because I'm going to do the T-shirt trick on the mock-up here. So not the mock-up. I'm probably going to go with a plug. I'll make a plug, a fiberglass plug, and then from there. Well, actually, that'll be... No, I'm going to make a mold. I'm going to go on the outside of this and make a fiberglass mold, clean up the mold, and then I'll make the piece out of fiberglass. So, a little bit more later. Wish me luck. So I get myself way too excited. I mean, for crying out loud, I completely forgot, and I apologize for that. So, basically, I whittled down, identified the center of the circle in the plastic cover, and for reference, these mounting holes. It turns out these mounting holes aren't completely symmetrical, But that's fine. I mean, I identified that. After I made the cardboard pattern, I just simply cut it out of a piece of 1/2-inch plywood. Okay, and whittled and shaved and so on and so forth. After I whittled out the plywood, then I followed a contour on the this is the plastic now. Followed a contour on the plastic that would look kind of nice, you know, on the vehicle. And then I just stretched this t-shirt around it. So I can, at this point, I'm going to cover the t-shirt in resin, and then I'll pack the backside with fiberglass after it cures so that I have a finished surface. But it even got the concave surfaces even came out really nice just by simply stretching. I've got very good symmetry. This is the top side, this is the bottom side. And quite frankly, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it looks really cool. So that'll go on the car. I got a little bit of a rib there because the circle is outside of that boundary. So if I need to clean that up, I can clean that up. But at this point, I just want to build this superstructure, or substructure is maybe what I should call it, by putting resin over the shirt, and then I can come in, remove the guts, then come in and you know, put some mat or something on the inside if I need to get a little bit of strength. It doesn't need to be rock solid, but I certainly want some strength so it doesn't break or chip or crack. And then, of course, I can build onto the outside if I want to. I'm kind of liking that body line, though. It's a nice sharp line, and the cuts turned out. So, same thing here. This is the dash side, though. This is, you know, this is the back side of the steering, or the front side facing the dashboard. The horn side is going to be a whole different project because I have to integrate that cruise control mechanism. But I needed this established first. So I'm going to go with putting resin on this. I did not put a mold release on the ABS plastic. On the edges of the wood, I put 2 layers of just masking tape. I've done that in the past, and I am able to get it to release when I do that. So, all right. Wish me luck. All right. T-shirt stretched. First coat of resin, or fiberglass resin. Put on. Looking good. And that'll be the first half of the new steering wheel. So this is just Bondo fiberglass resin, but I don't know, it's kind of old, so I put the heat gun to it, and it's got some tack yet. I mean, it's been about 5 minutes, but that'll get rigid, and yeah, and then I'll just trim the cloth. Hopefully have no problems yanking the guts out of it, and then build it up with mat, or I don't know. I don't need any build, so probably use cloth. I've got cloth and mat, and I got a lot of shit from a while ago. Anyway, we're getting there. We're getting there, and more later. No slots in the back. This is the back side. No slots or anything like that. Blinkers or tilt or anything sticks through on these. These are pretty straightforward. So, as you saw, I got the steering wheel cut. Gosh, that thing should fit on there. I might have to trim a little bit here and here. No structural integrity removed from the steering wheel, So I took material out of here, but this is the factory material. But so everything that was, it was flagged down here, and these flagged down, you know, they came from that, and these came up. So I did not remove any material in here where the actual structure is, and certainly not that bend or stamping, nothing out of there. So we have this we're not compromising the strength at all. We're just changing the look a little. Thanks, guys. Okay, I pulled it off. Actually, now you get a chance to see so that's where I cut the plastic all the way back. You can see where the bolts for fastening the front side went through holes on the back side. And so those were just standoffs. The smaller standoff to the left there was for mounting this. You mounted this on through the steering wheel. I got a mess here. Through the ears that were on the steering wheel, there were some small holes in there. 4 small holes to receive the standoffs on the top and the bottom. They were cut off on this side, and they remained on this side. So anyway, I just cut it off, and you can see there's wax on here. But then I just sanded the edges, right? And it was puckering too much in here, so I just bridged it with hot melt glue and then sanded it with a little, popsicle stick, basically. Because it was coming off of here, it just needed to roll down to take that shape. And then I just hot melt glued it to a piece of 1/2-inch plywood, kept it rigid, and then put 2 layers of masking tape on the wood, because you don't want that fiberglass leaching into there. It would have bonded it to it. I found that masking tape works pretty good. And in the bottom, so then I pulled it off, and of course it was just gel coat over a t-shirt, right? So it was just very, very flexible. But it held its shape, and as long as the steering wheel, or the round portion, this portion, was pushed flat, it maintained its shape. So what I did was, I just did a piece of, it's an old house jack, but I had an old disc, sanding disc, that I just wrapped tape around a couple of times, and then I can get in there with an X-Acto knife or a utility knife, cut that tape and peel it off, and I can pop that disc out, and the tape, then I can remove the tape. Even if the tape sits in there, it doesn't matter, because most of that's getting ground out of there anyway. It's just a round circle. It winds up being the edge, right? So I put a layer of cloth in, all the way around. A couple of spots I overlapped it, but I did small strips. So it's 2 layers of cloth. Cloth is for that tension structure, but it doesn't have a high build. Cloth mat, cloth. Mats over there. Mats over there in that box. And I'm going to start with cloth. If I get a stiff enough structure with the cloth, I'm going to stay with it, because I don't want to build it super thick, right? So we'll see how this one turns out. I just finished it. It smells wonderful in here right now. And then I'll zip it off, and we'll see what it looks like, and we'll build the other side. I did put a second layer after I did the t-shirt, and it dried out. I popped a corner off of it, and it was really flimsy. So I put a second layer of resin on, just to add a little bit more structure, so that, it's not going to give a whole bunch of strength, but it allows it to maintain its shape. So then when I popped it off here, and I put the cloth on the inside, so this will all be, and plus it did some build. It's not gel coat per se, but I should have a surface that I can start to sand. Will it need a little love? It might. If you remember, this edge had a bit of a, see, it kind of hourglasses just a little bit. And I don't know. I was talking about maybe I'll like that. I don't know yet. I don't know. It winds up being the top side, so it might look like a malformed plastic piece in the end, so I may have to build that up just a little bit. But we'll get to that. The nice thing about fiberglass is auto body filler does a wonderful job in bonding to it because it's the same chemistry basically. So we'll see. At this point, it's looking like it's going to work. So pretty excited about it. The steering wheel worked. I got such a mess here. The steering wheel worked. In terms of filling that, if this works, I got to do the front side. Front side will be considerably easier because it's going to be a lot flatter and just edges around it with that shape. And there you have it. We'll carry on. I'm having fun, that's for sure. It's a wonderful experiment. Well, hello again. Here, I got a light sitting right here. I'll be doggone. Okay, so we can see I got all the body bolts. This is actually the first time that I got 100% of the body bolts on, because I had made these pockets, when I was constructing the frame. I set the body down to finish those out. When I built this pan, I left this channel. There is one body bolt down in there, and it's just enough to get a 5/8 socket both sides. And that's a lot. It's a lot of body bolts. It just is. But I got them all on. These two here, I'm certain are this, now that I positioned the seat. If they weren't in the past, they are now going to be the seat mount for the seat bracket. And I'll have to make some inboard ones as well if I go with buckets. Still looking and considering all that. But when I chopped it, I sat and fought with the doors, trying to get the doors just kind of lined up and that kind of thing. And at this point, then I knew there'd be some, when you mount the body and you cinch down those bolts and, everything was done on, I built everything on the frame. Well, I need to recap. So I set the body on the frame, and then I built from the frame to the body for all of these mounts, right? They're the factory mounts, but as I was positioning the chassis mounts, let's see, as I was positioning the chassis mounts, these here, and building this raised section back up in here for the seat mounts. I'd have the body at a specific height, sitting on the frame, wherever it was touching, and if you recall, it was touching in the very back, I would support it, just slightly support it. Okay, and then I worked myself, made sure everything was flat and correct, cross-measured and everything, this side to that side, so on and so forth, to make sure there wasn't sitting at any type of a weird angle or some sort of twist or something like that. And then I set it on there, and then I moved the mount up to the body and then tacked everything on. Now I just had a shim wherever there was interference, just a shim, because I went up 1/4 of an inch with the rubber bushing. So there's 1/4 of an inch bushing on the top, 1/4 of an inch bushing on the bottom, and in the center of the bushing then, at a 5/8 hole, 5/8 hole, and this is 5/8 OD, then I would slip this down into the two bushings, and it would sandwich then. So I'd have a complete rubber isolation from the body to the chassis. Okay. And then I cinch it down with these bolts. And I don't have right now, because nylocks in my mind are a one-time use, but I have all nylocks for all of this. Right now I just have nuts on it. But when I do the final assembly, I'll nylock the body bushings on, because you don't torque these. You get them tight, you torque them, but you don't take them to the point of just before yield, because you're just compressing rubber, for crying out loud. So I will consistently tighten them all the way down. Anyway, so now that it's on, and I had everything adjusted, but now I am hitting, it will latch, but I'm hitting the bottom of the door latch. On this side, I will torque the door to shut it, so I'm not going to shut it. And on this side, for whatever reason, there wasn't a lot of movement from when I originally aligned the doors. I know aligned when I originally put the doors on after the chop, but I know that I'm a little down on this door, and this door is actually a little down in the back, just a little bit down. And so now is the time to get them adjusted, clocked, and properly adjusted, because at this point the body is fully fastened, and the alignment that I achieve after this will be the final alignment. So now I'll tweak all the hinges, or adjust all of the doors, and if whatever interference that I have, I'll take out of it. So it's a little bit of a project, but in the end, it's satisfactory, right? We can see on this door, the gap is good, and then it opens up a little bit. And that's not the final gap, but once I get the doors adjusted, I'm going to come in and then finish. There was a whole video on me adjusting the gaps to get them as close as I could. And now is the time to come in and get them where they need to be. So that's the next project, is to get everything fitting tight and to spec, as close as I possibly can get it to straight lined up doors. The other thing that I noticed after I chopped it, you telegraph events when you chop it. This is way out. Look at that. Way out. Now, if I could shut this door, we would see that it's out a little on the bottom and it's out on the top. So there is no adjustment that you can make other than twisting the door. So evidently when I originally pushed this in. This was the door from the very beginning that I basically had to cut the frame off and weld it back on. And every time I touch this door, something dramatic happens. So I just need to stay with it until I get it right. But clearly I got good 3/8 of an inch gap up here, and I'm touching up here. And if you can hear it, but he's moving out as I tap it. So that's the project. The project is to get everything to shut and just keep on going, right? Just keep on going until you're done. Thanks. Hey guys, a little bit of an update. I ordered one of these. They're just a little, what do you want to call it? Auxiliary heater. They come with these T connectors. Some hose clamps and stuff like that. And this kit was like $60. And you got your, you got these guys, 4 outlets. You know, it stretches out to more than a couple of feet. You know, these go way out. They go way out. So comes with a little rheostat, off switch, and it's variable speed. It's not detense, which is kind of slick. I checked it with the battery charger and ran it off the charger, and she doesn't take 3 amps at full high. And the amps go down as the motor speed goes down, which is nice. It's not just packing resistors in to waste it in heat. I did take it apart too. It's a little circuit board, and you isolate the ground. It's on the ground side that it controls. The box comes with a little mounting kit, little L brackets to bolt in with these 10 millimeters, but I put in the screws, I opened the hole up and put some weld nuts, rib nuts, I guess, in, so then I can hang it under the dash. It packs nice. It's only 9, I can't remember now. I just freaking, the box itself is only 9 3/16 or something like that. It's gonna come off. So I got this guy, and then I got something else. This guy here. So that's just a vent, an OEM type pressure vent. So this will go on like that. And on the supply side, if the pressure builds, if I shut off this side, the pressure will build and return it and not drive hot water through it. Whether it needs it or not, I don't know. But I'm going to put it in there before I go through the firewall. And then I'll have a valve, a shut-off valve for the high side so that I can let this go to cool. It runs on one motor, 2 squirrel cages, generates about 600 CFM according to the specifications. Again, it's a hot rod. I'm not going to play with AC. I don't have enough room. I could probably get a mini in there, but then getting the pump and everything on the motor, and I'm trying to keep this as clean as possible. So when I route the hoses, for example, the one that comes off the water pump, I'm going to try to bend it and get it up to shoot up the intake manifold to the back, and pull the other one from the cylinder head and come up underneath the cover here. So they'll both go into the firewall. You can see my signature for my welds. I formed up a quick box right here and just plug welded it, drilled holes and just plug welded it on. I just shot it with paint. These are the brackets that came with it. It's extremely quiet, which typically means it ain't gonna move a lot of air, but it is quiet. I don't need it to move a ton of air. What I need to do is defrost the windshield on a frosty morning. So what I've got is those tubes. I got the defrosters made for the dash, and then the other 2 tubes, I'll snake one over behind the power distribution box to the driver's side, hit one to the passenger side, probably do a little bit of a mount on the firewall or something like that so it directs the heat. But other than that, kind of a simple little trick. You can see, looking across, there's my PCM. This box fits in, and you can see the firewall narrows, so that's what I can get in. I got about 10.5 inches between the PCM and the firewall. And of course the cowl, he's got some depth to him, but it'll sit up behind the dash. It'll give me about 5 inches where I can bend those tubes in an S and get them routed. So that's the project for the day, or for the evening. And I just got that welded and shot with spray paint, so I thought I'd do a quick video. Tomorrow I'll do the install. It's getting kind of late right now, so thanks, guys. Hey, guys. We're at it again. See, this hose is going around. Alternator is fully adjustable. It's nice and loose. There's nothing holding it on. It goes up into the manifold, turns and goes back, and then comes out and turns and goes into here. An interesting thing that I learned on YouTube was how to heat form hoses. So I bought 5/8 hose, and so this comes out, and he turns around the corner there. He's not bent. See that coming out of the manifold? He turns the corner, comes bent. Bends right there, comes around. So he's coming on that curve up, and then he's turning closer to the other side of the manifold and coming back across underneath. Okay, you can see him right there. Goes in through a aluminum firewall mount, aluminum and brass firewall mount. Engine cover covers it. This, what I was tackling, was the cruise control. That's going to get covered by the engine cover too. So everything. I mean, looks like a modern engine. Comes to the inside. And some more hose forming. To get up to the heater box. Heater box is mounted. I mean, I don't have anything formed here, but I just mounted all the tubes on there. They're under the defroster. Everything's plumbed. It's all mocked in, if you want to call it that. It clearly sits. Yeah, I'm about plumb with the dash, or level with the dash. Right now, I'm on my knees. And then when I get up to the door height, see? It's looking good. I popped that grill and I'm just playing around. This was bent up too and I hammered on it, but it's too rusty. And I was thinking things, and that's all. That's the only reason why that's there. What? There you have it. That's what I have for the heater box so far. Thanks, guys.